Hello, everyone. This is a special broadcast from SMPTE New England section. I'm Marty Feldman, section chair, and we're doing something we've never done before, and that is a live broadcast from the floor of NAB through the auspices of the Museum of Broadcast Technology. The Rogues Gallery at the Museum of Broadcast Technology has put together a pretty fantastic exhibit at NAB. And the people running it are Paul Beck, Tom Sprague, George LeMaster, who are on site right now. And we're going to be showing you interesting history of particularly two of the cameras that they brought with them from the mid-1960s. That have been beautifully restored by Tom Sprague and his colleagues, Tom Sprague and his colleagues. These are Norelco PC-70s, they're Plumicons, and they'll be telling you all about that along with some of the other gear that they brought out there with them. And they are on the edge of the North Hall. If you happen to be nearby and you're watching this, you can stop by. And also happen to be right next to the SMPTE booth. And we'll be talking to some of the SMPTE folks as well. If you don't know about the Museum of Broadcast Technology, they are in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. It can be seen by appointment only right now. And it is just loaded with mostly working gear. From even from the 1950s. To get a 1956 quad VTR there, and everything after that, it's just pretty amazing. Also, we're going to be hearing from Chuck Conrad of the Texas Broadcast Museum. And they also have a Museum of Broadcast Technology in Texas. And there may be a few others around as well that I've heard of. And but if you're interested in how we got to where we got to today, this is a very interesting way to learn, to actually see the equipment, get your hands on it, learn how they restored it. So I'm going to turn this over now to Paul Beck, with whom we could not function without. Yeah, Paul Beck. He is a keystone of our section, and if he goes, I go. Paul, it's all yours.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you so much. We're here at the floor of the North Hall, and behind me is our display from the Museum of Broadcast Technology. I'm going to turn the camera around and just let me flip a button here, and we'll, if I can do this right, there we go. I'll be running the camera for you. You're looking at a pair of Norelco PC-70 studio cameras. They're from 1965. They've been very lovingly restored by a number of people, one of whom is sitting over there in the chair named George LeMaster. Hey, George, how are you? And we'll get back to George in a few minutes, but I want to show you these cameras. This is a true historic camera. I'm going to zoom in here for a second. If I can do this, there we are. This is a servo zoom on this thing. It's only a 10-to-1 zoom, but it works quite well. This camera over here, I'm going to sneak behind these focals. You can see the 3 image tubes. There's the technology that we haven't seen for a while. Deflection yokes, preamps, deflection chassis, and a big fat TV81 camera cable. Something that was wonderful to carry up to the top floor of a stadium or someplace like that. I'm going to move over to the other side and we'll see the business end of the CCUs. We're sitting next to George. We'll come back to George in a second, but what you're seeing here are the control units for the Norelco PC-70s. There are a pair of monitors and waveform monitors for the video operator to adjust things. And below this is the registration and ops panel. And below that is the CCU tub with all of its electronics, power supplies, and other processing signals. There are 2 complete cameras. We have a small line monitor and a small switcher and scope here for matching cameras. But this whole package has been lovingly restored over throughout COVID. I'd say almost 3 years of work with a number of people. It's been a collaborative effort. Some of the equipment that you see has come from Texas, donors from Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky. A number of people have been so generous with the parts. When we get the cameras and the CCUs, they're not complete by any means. Me running out of breath here. Well, folks are coming in from one of the NAB exhibits, just letting out at 4 o'clock. I'm going to slide the camera over to some pictures we have that will explain a little bit about some of the things we've done with the Norelco cameras that didn't make it to full restoration. In this case, cameras that were turned into props. You know, it's one thing to restore a camera, but if it's beyond any help, we really didn't want to throw it away. So what you're seeing here is are stills from a Netflix show called The Get Down. It was a series, and obviously there's a fake monitor stuck in the back, and there's a real lens from either an Arri, Alexa, or a Red camera stuck in the lens cowling. But this is an example of what can be done with a camera that really has no longer any function or any hope of being restored to full activity and productivity. This was our first depth jump into doing prop cameras, and it led to some other work, which I'll show you. I'm going to show you a picture of George Lemaster. He's our hero. He fixes almost anything. Here he is working on the PC60 CCU. Here is the PC60. This is one of the special cameras that came from ABC Hollywood Palace that did Lawrence Welk for many years. We also have a PCP70, which is a portable shoulder-mounted camera. It has a backpack, which you see on the right-hand side. And the reason this has a wanted poster on it is we only have one, and it was badly abused by the previous users. So we're looking for a spare, a complete camera, or even the manual for them. Please help me find my lost relatives. We need another one of these PCP70s or the manual for it. The restoration has taken place at the Museum of Broadcast in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. This is part of the area where George has set up his repair facility. Here's the surgeon's table. But the modules that are repaired, there are at least 70 separate modules that plug into a PC70 camera. And they're very complex. The parts that are replaceable, capacitors, diodes, and relays, are difficult to find. But with the cleverness of George and others, it's been a very fruitful and productive experience. As you can see, the cameras are actually working. This led to a whole other approach, and it has to do with WGBH and Julia Child. And through a company called Visual Alchemy, Michael Syme and his people, they're in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. They were the folks who worked with us on the series Julia, which is an HBO series for the life and times of Julia Child. It's gone through 2 seasons. Only 1 season is actually on air. These are shots from CRT or from the LCD of the display. But this is the actress who's playing Julia Child. She did a great job. In order to do this, to replicate, we had to come up with a way of getting master monitors, TM6 type RCA monitors, that had a real CRT that would run at 24 frames. So the only way to do that was to take the front panel from a TM6, a real TM6, and create a box behind it with a monitor that could be G for 24 frame. The control room set up 4 of them, and it's a replica of almost exactly what the original WGBH studio was like when they were doing the Julia Child show. In this case, you see 2 up close. The shutter bar has caught the monitors retracing, but when the digital camera takes a picture of this, it looks as real as possible. There is no shutter bar, there is no flicker. And the waveform that you see there is not really an oscilloscope. It's an iPad stuck behind the screen, and it's playing a video that is of a true video waveform. It looks startlingly real. The cameras came from our museum archive. It was a tough choice to go through the process of cannibalizing them, but once again, these were cameras that had been badly abused. They came to us after a long life, hard working in the field. So we had to restore them. Here's a picture of a viewfinder that's been taken apart, and we put a small 9-inch monitor in its place, a monitor that would sweep at 24 frames. We were able to, this is one of the Julia Child sets up in Woburn where we were shooting on location, and we were able to recreate the original WGBH logos. And here are the cameras in the WGBH fake studio, but it looked pretty real. Here they are with a frontal view. And the control center was all done by Michael Syme and his magic people. And they were recording with the digital cameras coming out of the camera. I forgot to mention that what he had to do was put a high def camera inside behind the turret of the black and white TK31 camera. And it was hidden where the orthicon yoke would go. And this signal from this high def camera was sent as an HD SDI signal up the camera cable, turned into a device that scanned it down to 24 frame NTSC and returned it up the camera cable again. So we didn't have to have a whole festoon of ugly cables coming in and out. It was quite a project. And we think we've done season 2. We're hoping there'll be a season 3, but this is a lovingly delicate process. We didn't really want to take the cameras apart and cannibalize them, but it's to a good end. Later on, we were involved with a program called The Joker. And the scenes you see here, when they were on film in the final film, I don't think they lasted 50 seconds. It was a very short piece, but it started with taking a PC-70 that had been pretty much abandoned and taken apart by previous owners. We took the lens out of its carriage, modified it so it would fit correctly, and then the producers put in I think that's an ARRI. It might be an Alexa camera, I'm not sure. But the idea was to put a high def camera inside the body of a PC-70. And inside the camera, there is a viewfinder. That's a monitor, a Sony 9-inch monitor. Here's another view of it as well. And in it was a recorder. I think it was a Key Pro or some other digital recorder. So the whole idea of this is that it's a camera that looks just like a PC-70, acts like it, smells like it, feels like it, but inside is a high def camera, high def recorder, and a 24 frame display monitor, so that when the other cameras take a picture over the operator's shoulder, it looks pretty real. They had 4 cameras in this whole package, and it looked pretty good. This was at the Kaufman Astoria Studios, I believe. We didn't have to provide the pedestals or the tilt heads.
Hey, Paul.
They already came with the studio.
Paul?
And
Can anyone hear me now? Sorry, folks.
I can hear you, Mark. Do you have a
let me
question?
continue
that's
on
right.
if I could.
That was at Steiner Studios in Brooklyn,
Steiner Studios in Brooklyn.
Okay.
right?
Steiner Studio, okay. We weren't expecting to be interrupted, but thank you, Mark. In this situation is Michael Syme, who is working the digital controls. When the video has to be taken from the high def camera and converted to NTSC, there's a whole bunch of Schneider devices that are involved with that. And they actually record and switch the program there live, live to tape or live to digital. It works out quite well. Well, I'm going to turn this around here. If I can flip it around. Thank you, Mark, for the correction on the Steiner Studio. I'd like to introduce some people,
problem.
and
No
I'd
problem.
like to start.
I'm
can't
sorry,
hear
I
you.
didn't mean to interrupt.
This thing isn't working out, so I can't hear you. But let me flip the camera.
No,
to-
no. Paul now? No? Okay.
George,
Can you,
I'm
can you
sorry to
hear
bother
me?
you,
No problem, you're not bothering.
but you've come a long way up from Virginia when you work in our facility at Woonsocket. Thank you so much for all the time and effort you did to rebuild these cameras. I'm going to give you this, flip this on if you'd like, or hold it, whatever.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your career too.
Well, I was interested, I happened to work at a station about 1968 that had these Norelco cameras and was introduced to them then. And then later in the 1970s, I went back to work at that station, did about 3 more years with that station with Norelcos. They had 3 of these. And then I went to NBC Washington, where NBC had bought 36 of these cameras for NBC Sports. And I wound up going out on quite a few remotes, maintaining these cameras and a second video. So that was my introduction to them.
You've blended in with us crazy people down in Woonsocket very, very amiably. And you are a kindred spirit in this preservation and restoration idea. And we're looking forward to more projects.
Well, I'm delighted. It's great fun for me.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move over to Tom. Tom, can I pull you away? I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Oh, yeah, you can be here. I'm just explaining that CBS used these cameras extensively for quite some time, and even NBC used them on their remote units.
Yep.
I think there were 30 plus of them that NBC had purchased. Does anybody out there have questions? Have we been taking questions?
We haven't, but Chuck is at the other end ready to listen.
Oh,
We
you
can't
can
really
use
hear the
chat.
questions coming back.
I know, you can't hear it. He'd have to
He's
repeat the
the-
question.
I did now introduce you. You are Tom Sprague.
I am, really?
Of national fame.
Says so right here, yes.
And you are really the father of all this craziness, of helping us restore and repair. And
Well, there are a lot of fathers here because you Paul Beck here actually had most of the equipment somewhere in somebody's basement, but we won't really talk about that. But the museum in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, was something that I shepherded along in the early days, and now there are a group of us, and we actually could use some more people to join the group.
we've been called vidiots.
Idiots, yes,
Idiots.
we could be idiots, but that's okay. We've been called worse.
Huh.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to move on.
You're
Thank
gonna
you,
move
sir.
on.
I'm going to slide over here to Chuck Conrad, who is our friend from Texas. And I'll hand you this mic. And you tell us a little bit about your museum. And I'll hold up a picture of what you have.
Okay, I'm going to take these headsets off.
Yep.
Because this is the only way we can hear. Is I'm the relay person here.
Yep.
For all this, because we have no way to actually hear. But I 6.5 years ago started the Texas Broadcast Museum. It's in Kilgore, Texas. People go, why Kilgore? Why didn't you do this in LA or New York or somewhere? I don't live there is the real answer. But it's turned into something way bigger than I ever thought it would be. We're in a pretty good sized building, about 18,000 square feet, and it's getting kind of full. It's actually turned into quite a tourist attraction. We have a whole bunch of interesting stuff in there. We have 2 TV mobile units inside. We have ESPN's, when they first signed on the air in 1978, I guess it was, they built 3 trucks called 127, 227, and 327 because the box part of it was 27 feet long. So this way it sounded like they had a whole bunch of trucks, but they didn't. At any rate, the other 2 have been destroyed, but we have 327 inside the building. And oddly enough, it came to us by way of the NAB Convention about 5 years ago or so. It's been the gift that keeps on giving, if you know what I mean. There's always something, but we actually have it making pictures. The switcher's working. We're working on we've blown up several chyrons trying to get that working. But so if you happen to have a chyron sitting in your closet that works, that would be really neat. And then here in the bottom is the Dumont Telecruiser. This, as far as I know, is probably the oldest TV mobile unit around anywhere that's been restored. There's probably some of the same age. It's built in 1949 for Channel 8 in Dallas. Which is, you probably have heard of it as WFAA TV, but when it was originally built, it was called KB TV. And oddly enough, the station was owned and put on the air by a guy from Kilgore, Texas. So it's kind of come full circle. This thing is serial number 101. It's the very first one Dumont Laboratories ever sold. And it's was used during the Kennedy assassination. And the reason I found it was I'd loaned a camera that we have on display that was used. It was there when Lee Harvey Oswald was shot. And the 6th floor museum in Dallas called me up one day and said, we'd like to borrow that camera. I had no idea, actually. I'd worked at KRLD TV when I was in college. And I bought this thing when a museum in Dallas closed up. And I don't know, I think I might have paid $100 for it. I don't know what it was. It wasn't much. I had it in my office for a long time. And one day the 6th floor museum called me up and said, yeah, we understand you got a camera from KRLD. I said, yeah, I do. I used to work there. And says, do you know what it is? I said, yeah, it's a GE Image orthocon camera, 4.5-inch IO camera, in fact. And the guy goes, no, that's not what I mean. He said, do you know what it did? And I said, well, when I was working there, it was doing church services on Sunday morning because we had a color mobile unit, but it did the Dallas Cowboy games. So, guess who gets the black and white camera? They said, did you know it was there when Lee Harvey Oswald was shot? And I went, you're joking. And so they borrowed it for a year for a special exhibit on how the press dealt with it, and introduced me to the Telecruiser, which was definitely from the needs a little fluffing up department. That was about a 10-year restoration. That camera also went to the Newseum in Washington, D.C., which is sadly no longer with us, but it spent a year there for the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. So it's got a little bit of provenance too. So this has been a real adventure. I mean, and it's been great. So come see us in Kilgore, Texas. It's about 2-hour drive from Dallas, or about an hour from Shreveport, Louisiana, and about 3 hours from Houston. So.
And the good news is you're from Walpole.
Yeah, I am from Walpole. I cut my teeth at a place called Richards TV on Main Street in Walpole. I think it was 947A Main Street, if I can recall. And I got the shock of my life in there from an Emerson color TV from about 1954. But apparently it did something to my brain, and I've been stuck doing this stuff ever since. So.
Thank you very, very much. I'm going to turn this thing
Thank you.
around a little bit, and
See, we have somebody.
we may have some questions.
Perhaps.
We might. What I might do here is, for those people who have never seen a camera be registered, I'm going to turn around here. I'm going to put that one there. Turn around for a second. And I'm going to move the camera in close so you can see some of these images. There's a registration panel here that has the red, blue, and green centering controls. The control panels below is for gains and iris. And what I'm going to do is just back up a little bit. I just have to come out and just do that shot maybe a bit. I'm going to, on this picture, give us just green channel for that camera. It's negative. I can make it positive. But I'm going to make it negative, and I'm going to superimpose red over it. I'll move it closer so you can see a bit. And registering the picture, you can see where it needs to be superimposed right over it. You're seeing double images there. This is something you don't see anymore. They don't do this to cameras anymore because they don't need to do it. Here's the blue channel, and we'll move the blue way out. And we'll do the blue vertical. Chuck, could you press up camera 1 on this guy up over there? Thank you. And I'll do that same thing again so you can see it in color. If the red goes way out, you get that thing. And here's the blue. Superimposing and doing a registration was a fine art. And you do it usually on a test chart, not like I'm doing here with a fixed picture. It's probably, I'm cheating here, but I'm just using this moment as a way of explaining that part of the technology here is really old school. And we had a teacher from Florida come by here on Saturday who had never seen anything like this. And he was very amazed. He said, all the cameras we have, you just point them at a white card and press the button. It works fine. So he came back and we went through the registration and what gamma was and other things like that. He was very, very impressed. I'm going to turn the camera around a bit to see me for a moment, if I can do this. And I'm not sure what we could do next. Did we have any questions, Marty? Did you have anybody who wanted to ask any issues?
Well, I actually can ask a question. Can you hear me okay?
Chuck is going to have to
He
relay
can't
that.
hear
to-
you, but I can. So
Okay, so I know some of the early Norelco cameras, particularly the PC60s, had a dual output. Was that carried over into the 70s? And
wants to know about the dual output.
how is that?
Two cameras versus
How
one
is that
camera.
broken down?
Right. These cameras here all have TV81, which is the single cable, but there were a number of PC70s that had the twin TV37 cable. We have one, and that PC60 that I showed you a picture of that came from Hollywood Palace that did well. It has twin TV37 cables, and they're a stinker to fix. We have only one TV37 cable, and it works. The camera works really well, and we have the original lenses they had, which were fully servoed Rank Taylor Hobson Mark 10 lenses. So hopefully, at some point in the future, we'll bring the Lawrence Well camera down as well. If there are no questions, Marty, SMPTE's booth is just 10 feet away, and I'd to zip your.
I know.
I think he's frozen. I'm
Is
not
this
sure.
for those TV series, you've done some motion.
All right, I'm going to pick the camera up and move.
Your internet connection is-
Yeah, I was just asking about the some of the motion picture films you've supported beside the TV series.
What motion picture films have you supported besides these series?
Say that again.
What motion picture series or you supported?
Oh, there's many. Well, let me see. Quiz Show was one, and that was done quite a while ago. Isn't She Great with Nathan Lane and Bette Midler? Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, that was done up in Toronto. We provided a 16 millimeter movie camera, a Mitchell News camera, a PC70 camera, and some other things, a couple of IMO or Bell & Howell DR70 cameras. Working the film with Bette Midler and Nathan Lane was a real trip. Each of them have stand-ins, and the stand-ins and the actors didn't get along. It was interesting to see how that worked out. Other films would be the wonderful film that was shot mostly in Pittsburgh, Won't You Be My Friend, where Tom Hanks plays the character of Fred Rogers. And we provided HL79 mini cams for that and other components, and they were very, very pleased with that. I'm in touch with that producer on a regular basis, and he may even be watching this right now because he knows we've done something with the PC70s, and he may want more. But if you guys are okay, I'd like to zip over, and we're going to see Roberta Gorman and some other people. So hold on a second. I got to flip a button here. May I take the mic for a second? Can I take the other mic?
Roberta is the
Thank you.
SMPTE membership director, if you don't know Roberta.
I'm going to invade. We are live in Boston right now. I'm going to hand Roberta, tell us about SMPTE. This is Roberta.
A professional.
You are wonderful.
I think, of course, with the vision that cares the most about moving image, and we have a lot of wonderful people all over the world who care and who create education. You have standards, color bars, time code, IP, or 2110, media over IP, and a lot of wonderful members. Questions? I know that all of you who aren't members are going to want to join very soon. And if you want to, just email me and I will give you a discount code.
Thank you. We're going to pass to David if I
We're
could.
going to pass
David,
to
can I
David.
interrupt?
By all means.
You're on the New England section of SMPTEs. Welcome, first of all, welcome to being the new executive director.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. How is everybody in New England today?
They're live. It's raining though, and the Boston Marathon was soaked. Was today, so
not
they got
pretty.
wet.
Not pretty. And what did it's Monday, so my son's at home in Waltham. He's he doesn't have to commute to his lab on Mondays. So at least he got to stay dry.
Good. Just saying hello and wishing the folks hello.
So first of all, I want to say hi to you. I'm honored to get to serve as the executive director at SMPTE. You know, this organization is incredible what people have done over the years to this. So I look forward to coming out, meeting with all of you at one of your section events. It's my goal to hit every section in the next 12 months and every student chapter. So, you know, as I said, my son lives in the Boston area, so I look forward to being over there. And
Looks like I got a freeze. Well, you'd be more than welcome anytime. Just let us know. Let's try to get him back here. As we used to say, the trouble is not with your set. Stand by. While we're waiting, I just want to mention that our next in May 24th, is going to be with the inimitable Schumann from Metropolitan Opera. But he's going to be, as you say, Mark can speak intelligently on just about any subject in video. And he's a multiple Emmy Award winner. And he's going to be talking about what's happening at NAB, as far as I know, maybe some other subjects. But we hope you'll join us for that on May 24th. It's an in-person meeting in Boston, but will be streamed. So stand by and we'll get you some information via email on that. Are we back to the SMPTE booth, or I'm not hearing anything right now.
Yeah. Well,
There we go.
we can hear you, Marty, but can't hear Paul.
Oh. Okay. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know if I mentioned.
muted.
Oh, we got him on? We got him? No. This whole thing is coming through an AT&T 5G hotspot, which gave us even better results in the Wi-Fi we tried. And we were afraid the Wi-Fi was going to get too busy there today. So we tried the 5G hotspot, and it seems to be working pretty well, except for these occasional glitches. Does Paul know he's got no sound? Well, I think
Maybe you can text him, Marty.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's aware of the problem. I don't know what happened. Paul, can you
Hi,
hear
we're
me?
now speaking via laptop.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
That's not working either.
that's not working.
No.
Wow.
Do we-
Well, we had him for a minute there.
You should see me now. I'm
Yes.
sorry. We're having a
Yes.
hell of a time with the internet service here. I'm sure you can hear me now.
No, we've got you
We're
now.
speaking to the laptop.
Oh, we can hear you.
Backup.
Susie can hear you.
We thank you for putting up with our shenanigans here. We did the best we could. It's tough in a place where we're literally going over a telephone line and having a hotspot with 2 cell phones. Unless there's any questions, and they can be relayed to David, he may want to sign off.
Okay, well, I
We
thank
lost
you,
Marty.
Paul. And I
You wanna
want
put the headset in your other- headset on?
somebody else on there.
Hello.
I hear a lot of chatter.
Hi, Marty.
Hi, Paul.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm at the laptop and the live wide mic is open, so I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good, good. I had just mentioned our May meeting, which is a meeting
sure
with
you can hear
Mark
you.
Schubin,
Yes.
and everyone is welcome. It'll be streamed as well as an in-person meeting at the
That is
Denham
correct.
Holiday Inn outside of Boston. And
Mark
I
Schubin,
understand-
I was gonna say, Mark was here today. And he confirmed that he will be with us on the 25th.
That's great. Well, yeah, he's always wonderful to hear. And he has a wealth of knowledge, and he's got Emmys, he's got every award you can imagine. He was the director of Sesame Street, and he's the technical director at the Metropolitan Opera currently. So he's just a brilliant guy, and we look forward to seeing him again.
I think if we do this again, Marty, we'll hire a mobile unit and a satellite uplink, and we'll do it up ground. But I'm sorry, this was thrown
wouldn't that be
together.
nice?
We did it on a budget,
Well,
serious.
you probably have a lot of satellite uplinks over there in the courtyard there.
They do.
Yeah,
do.
yeah, we could probably work something out. So it looks like I'm going out of focus here.
We can't see you here at all. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
looking
see
at my picture,
4 or
I'm saying
5
I'm out
of our
focus.
guests. Listen, let us sign off because I think we're just milking a dead
Yeah,
cat here.
I want to thank everyone who tuned in and participated in this experiment. And I also hope that you all someday get to visit Paul's museum at Tom, and their
George.
museum is really something. It can maybe use a little house cleaning now and then, but it sure has the equipment. So
Can I say something?
yeah, well,
Go ahead,
Hey,
Mark.
Paul, I think you've proven why it used to take skilled technicians to do TV right, you know?
Absolutely right.
Thank you very much, Paul. And
Thanks, Mike.
You did a good job. Nice.
Good to see you, Mike, being as well as you are. So
Likewise.
We have to
See
say,
y'all,
sign
bye.
off.
oh yeah.
That's what we need.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
In
Good
the
night,
home
everyone.
of the brave.
Good night, guys. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
yeah,
Bye-bye.
have a safe trip back.
Bye-bye.